Watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Matra and this is Market Today. With me is also Shailendra Bhatnagar, editor for Markets on Business Today TV. Indian equity markets continued their northward bound journey for the fourth consecutive session. We did see claiming record highs yet again, and that is something that we are going to be focusing on today. But first up, the headlines this hour. Wall Street ends at fresh 16-month highs, sending strong overnight cues to Indian bulls who are already partying at record peaks. Traders likely to be cautious after a four-day rally on the Nifty, which ended off its intraday highs. Infosys investors keep an eye out on the first quarter earnings and hunt for value beyond blue chips, even as intraday dips get bought onto the counters that post disappointing financials in a truly bull market of epic proportions. Very good morning, Shell. Well, it's been 14 trading sessions since the Nifty 50 really crossed that 19,000 mark on an intraday basis. And since then, we've just seen a decline on two of the sessions, while the rally has been of 700 points. What are you looking on the Nifty today? We're just 250 points away from that 20,000 mark.
Good morning, Sakshi, and good morning to all our viewers. It's been a fantastic run-up on not only the Nifty, Sakshi, but across the broader markets. But to take your question into two parts, let's look at what Nifty is likely to do today and why is it likely to do today based on the background that we have. Frankly, we've seen a very, very strong queue coming in from Wall Street overnight. You've seen the Dow Jones Index not only posting its best, level in 2023, but it's the highest since April 2022. So it's a 16th-month high and driven entirely by earnings at Morgan Stanley, at Bank of America, at Charles Schwab, and a fantastic corporate decision by Microsoft. So all those very, very strong cues are now built into our markets, which are actually going through a Goldilocks phase where everything that you can think of that is right is happening. And we've seen a very, very strong rally, as you very rightly mentioned, over the last four sessions. Nifty is added 2%. It's amongst the Asia's top performers on a weekly basis. And if you look at the last monthly picture, 20 sessions, a rally of about 1,200 points. And the fact is that it's up about 6%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now coming to what is likely to happen today. See, before the big exam, there used to be a rest day when we were in school. So
absolutely.
today is the rest day. And why is it a rest day? Tomorrow we have not only the weekly expiry, we have the monsoon session starting. Plus, you have Infosys declaring its earnings. Remember, Infosys is the best performing stock on the Nifty on a weekly basis, up 10%. And of course, you have a mega corporate development in the form of a demerger of Reliance Industries financial services arm. And of course, RIL, which is the heaviest weighted stock on the index, is going great guns, record high. We'll get into a lot of details that are there on the Nifty in a while. But, these are the broader things. Neutral to silent day on the Nifty today. And a very, very strong underlying current of bullishness, which might impact other indices positively. Sakshi.
Absolutely, Shell. All of those points are well in consideration for today's trading session, but also will be important to see what the bank Nifty does today, because we did see, after the Sensex and the Nifty, we also saw the bank Nifty touching a record high of 45,906 yesterday. But it failed to hold on to these gains. There was selling pressure in the later part of the session as well. So we did see a snapping of the three-day run on this index. Can it resume the uptrend today?
Yes, Sakshi. I think there'll be a change of hands when it comes to the rally being taken forward from these levels, and Bank Nifty is likely to play a very important part in that particular rally for two reasons. One, the overhang over HDFC Bank is over. As all of us know, it's the highest weighted stock on the Bank Nifty. and that's likely to regain its previous highs. You have earnings momentum building into ICICI Bank, which we will discuss in a little detail later. Again, the stock is uh, conserving fuel at record high levels. You've seen a very strong open interest coming in. You've seen the targets and stop losses or the resistances that are coming in front of you. See, you can note them down on a piece of paper. But the fact remains that Bank Nifty is likely to outperform for another constituent. We've seen fantastic earnings coming out of HDFC Bank, Sakshi. That was the previous week. IndusInd Bank has broken all uh, numbers that we could think of. Very strong numbers coming in. Q1 PAT up 32%, 2,124 crores, and net interest income up 18% at 5,862 crores. So I see Bank Nifty will not only have a positive feedback from IndusInd Bank, ICICI Bank is at a record high. They declare earnings, and then finally State Bank of India. So the constituents of Nifty Bank are showing a lot of strength, and that is the reason why at least I would prefer Nifty Bank over Nifty. And one
Okay.
more important point I needed to make was that in yesterday's trade we saw not, of course, the Nifty closed at a record high. It rallied for the fourth day, but the worrying point, Sakshi, is that at the peak, which was something like 19,820, the Nifty slipped, and it slipped about 70 points from its intraday high. So the bulls are getting tired. We've seen a 1,200 point run up. 16 out of 20 sessions have been positive. And one thing I interestingly noticed is that the volume picture yesterday, the volume on the Nifty was on a 4-day low, and
Hmm.
that shows signs that bulls are getting tired. So,
Yeah.
if you look at how India VIX shaped up, that also rose, which basically means that in the options market, people are buying hedges against this fantastic rally that we've seen.
Yeah.
So that's the broader picture. I'm positive on Bank Nifty, but on the Nifty, I'd be rather cautious, only because we are three major events away. Tomorrow
Yeah.
is the week expiry. Infosys declares tomorrow, and Reliance Industries has a major corporate development slated for Friday. Sakshi.
Absolutely, Shell. So definitely cautious on the Nifty, but Bank Nifty perhaps is looking brighter, when we compare the two indices. So that is where you keep your entire focus on today. From the FNO space, what's the action going to be like today, Shell?
So, Sakshi, there are two or three things that traders should do. On an intraday basis, if the Nifty is available in the form of a dip, which means that, uh, the sell-off, the minus sell-off that we saw yesterday afternoon continues, then at the 5 EMA, something like 19,650 is possibly a level where you would like to re-enter the Nifty.
Hmm.
The other point I want to mention is that you have to keep a very strict stop loss, which is very close to your fresh trade. And if you
Yeah.
are already in the Nifty trade, then keep trailing the stop loss as the Nifty keeps on rising. You have to keep one eye at the door, Sakshi. It's really overbought. It's stretched beyond common sense, and uh, you know you can give away the last 2-3% of the market to people who are really aggressive traders. But
Yeah.
for very conservative folks like me, the best strategy for retailers is buy and hold. This is a market that will make immense wealth, and that's the way forward. Buy quality, hold quality. Bull markets rise on liquidity, which is fairly evident. Look at the FII number again.
Hmm.
And they also rise on the lack of supply of quality stock, and that you can see in the happening in the market. No
Hmm.
matter what happens, bad earnings, mediocre earnings, a dip, and again it's up. That's a hallmark of a bull market, and we are
Right.
seeing happening across the board, Sakshi.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Shell. So obviously, apart from all of these data points, let's also look at the global setup. Shell pointed out very strong global cues overnight. That should lend some support. Dow Jones ending up 366 points higher, posting its seventh straight day of gains, and it's the longest winning streak for Dow Jones since the year 2021. Then the S&P 500 was up by 0.39% yesterday. The Nasdaq Composite added about 0.93%. Asian markets have advanced in the morning trading session. The Gift Nifty indicates a muted start to the Indian markets as well. As far as the FII flows are concerned, continuous buying action continues from the FIIs as well. So that's going to be in focus. Foreign portfolio investors were net buyers to the tune of 2,115 odd crore rupees yesterday. DIIs, however, sold shares worth about 1317 odd crores as well. On the FII flows, Shell, do you think the foreign investors will continue to pour in more money even as we go forward from here on? We are seeing, the US markets outperform at this point in time on a year-to-date basis, but will the Indian markets get that extra fillip for the FIIs?
Sakshi, what's the best job in the world? Ask a question and let the other guy suffer. So, which you did. So, you know, FII data is extremely positive. Another 2,000 crores coming in into Indian equities yesterday, and roughly about 16,700 crores in the month of July so far on a net basis. That's fantastic. Uh, I would imagine, Sakshi, we have 20,000 to hit. That's a psychological mark that everybody
Yeah,
is waiting for.
yeah,
It's about 120, 130, 190 points away. Uh, I think till then it's a positive number, and then we'll take a look. Like I said, it's a Goldilocks moment for Indian equities in the month of July. Anything and everything is clicking. The monsoon is good. The GST numbers are fantastic. Foreigners are very happy. Retailers are pouring money via SIPs. Traders are enjoying the boom, and anything and everything that could happen is doing fantastically well. Every mediocre, every basic result is met with euphoria, and no matter how you look at it, it's a booming bull market. So I would presume that the sentiment would remain strong and
okay,
robust, and foreigners would continue to pour in money till about 20,000.
okay.
And at the same time, one has to be very cautious,
Hmm.
Sakshi.
Hmm.
A 16-day rally out of 20 sessions
Hmm.
is a sure sign that it's overstretched on the long side. Uh, in the short term, the broader term remains bullish for the Indian equity space. It is for the moment perceived to be an island of safety, and that's the reason why you might see uh, higher levels than 20,000 on the Nifty and higher levels than 67,000 on the Sensex. But those will be accompanied by corrections.
Yeah.
Remember, corrections are good. They allow existing traders and investors to book profit, feel very happy, shift the booked profit from stocks to their bank, and it also allows newer players to come in at relatively lower price points. That's the
Absolutely.
cycle of the bull, and that's what's panning out effectively on the large speed. Sakshi.
Right, Shell, many thanks for sharing that entire context for all our viewers. And we now have an external guest who will answer all my questions now. Gaurang Shah joins in. Gaurang, very good morning to you. And thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion on day one of the market opening session on Business Today TV with me and Shell right here. And we're doing this as the markets climb to record high levels. I'm going to ask you, is 20,000 coming in today or this week?
Well, first of all, Sakshi, let me first congratulate my good friend Mr. Shell Bhatnagar. I think the last time I met him, Sensex and Nifty were way down and out. And now that he is appearing in front of a new backdrop, I must congratulate him. It's really good to see you, Shell. It's been a long time since
Yes.
we interacted last. But yeah, it's really nice to see you in front of a new backdrop, and I wish you all the very best. And Sakshi, to answer your question, well, I think 200 points, 20,000. I think we should think about 20,000. Why 20? Why restrict ourselves to 20,000? I think we have got more potential, more confidence, more capability, and uh, delivery confidence. I mean, we were talking about 18,000, 19,000. We've done that, dusted that. We are looking at 20,000, 2,200 points. I think by end of July, if not today, tomorrow, but I think end of July will definitely be there. And my target is, much, much beyond that. I'm not talking about the next 1 month, 1 year. I'm talking about the next 3 to 5 years and maybe more. And I think we've got places to go, let me tell you that. And the best part is that most of the hurdles or speed breakers are behind us. There could be one or two, geopolitical, natural calamity, news-based, global news-based driven kind of some correction, and that is always healthy. I've always maintained that after, and honestly, 30th June we were at 19,000,
Yeah.
and we are what 19th of June or 19th of June, and we are almost staring at 20,000. We are at 19,800. So I think given the rally, it's only prudent to expect a little bit of profit booking, and I think nobody has to complain on that front. And corrections are always healthy for the market, but definitely 20,000 is not the number that I'm looking at. I'm looking at much, much, much beyond that.
Wonderful, Gaurang. And let me just say that it's such a pleasure to be back in touch with you again. And at a time when there is Diwali that's coming early on Dalal Street, and there are all indications that we might celebrate Christmas, New Year, as well as Holi fairly quickly in uh, succession that the rally is prompting us to do. Now let's get back to the basics. Of course, the future looks pink and rosy, and you can see Sakshi and me wearing this particular color. As usual, you are fantastically well dressed. I have often asked you your tailor's address and phone number, and you have not shared it with me for the last 5 years, which is
Shell,
fine.
perhaps because it is his wife who is the main designer behind all his clothes, and that's why he's not sharing the number with you.
Yes, accepted. I'll be the second best looking male on the screen. It's acceptable to me. But Gaurang, let's get back to brass tacks. We need to know what to do today. And you've tracked the markets very well for the last 3 decades or so. Tell us what holds good. What do you find sensibly priced in a market that's already at a record high? And what should investors uh, feel relatively comfortable adding at this level?
Well, so Shell, to answer your question, I think I'll break it up into sector wise. I think that'll be more sensible for me to do that. And just because we are in the midst of first quarter earnings this financial year, and even last quarter, and Shell, you are witness to our confidence on the financials, the banking and NBFCs. We've been very positive on that for a pretty long period of time. And especially when the time when people were down and out on the PSU banks, we held our head out. We risked the negativities, and we said that no, banking sector, especially the public sector banks, are going through major changes, and you will see improvement as we go forward. So banking and financials, that is NBFC, Shell, both private sector banks, public sector banks, strong financials, names like Chola, Shriram, Bajaj Finance, L&T Finance, to name a few. Housing finance companies like LIC, Canfin Homes, microfinance company Shell excites us to a great extent because the ticket size is very small and the repayment run rate is almost 90-95% plus of principal and interest. So you have names like Ujjivan Small Finance, AU Small Finance, Credit Access, Grameen, etc., etc. Autos is the another sector that we are positive with the kind of launches and the kind of turnaround, and India aiming to become one of the largest automobile manufacturing hub. I think that's one sector. IT, a lot of people were underweight. We were very, very positive on that, and we still held our head out. We are not saying that next 3 to 6 months would be challenging, Shell, but I think post that, if you have a year and a half, I think IT is something that you want to be.
Yes.
Metals, cement, and power. So broadly speaking, six sectors, universe. Look at large cap and mid cap, and power more so because I think the government is planning almost about 360 gigawatts of additional new power generation capacity, leading with solar and wind, and then going on to hydro and then traditional. So you have names like Torrent, Tata Power, NTPC, CSC, and you have power distribution companies. And Shell, to be very honest, I think if India is aiming to become the next $1 trillion economy, two main
Yes.
sectors. One is finance, that is banking and finance, and second one would be power, because without power, you cannot reach there.
Mm.
So, Gorang, when you look at the market today, and Sakshi and I were discussing it some time ago, there's hard to find a fall. I honestly can't find a bearish sector, and you buttressed it with a fantastic fundamental view. But look, what looks good today? Are you looking at some individual stocks which catch your fancy, either based on earnings, either based on fundamentals? What are you advising clients?
So before I go there, one more sector I would like to add in the six universe that I have, six sector universe, and that is defense share. I think one must not forget about defense sector, and they have been stellar performer. And I think this is just the nascent beginning, despite of the rally over the last year and a half that we've seen in defense. So you have a whole host of things. So in company specific, well, again, let me start with the sector that I started, banking. I think I will first pick public sector banks, that is State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, and Canara Bank to start off, and all three are leading banks, including Punjab National Bank (PNB). In the private sector bank, well, we saw numbers from HDFC Bank and IndusInd Bank. So we have both those names under our coverage. I'll add two more names, that is Axis and ICICI. So that gives you your banking universe. In NBFCs, I mentioned Bajaj Finance, Chola, Shriram, L&T, AU Small Finance, and housing companies like LIC as well, LIC Housing Finance and Canton Homes. In the IT universe, again, I think mid cap IT has done phenomenally well compared to the large cap names. So you have names like, though LTI, Mindtree delivered numbers, little bit of disappointment, stock corrected, but it raised from the lows that it saw in the morning. So LTI, Mindtree is there, Persistent, Coforge,
Yeah.
KPIT Tech, Tata LXI. In the autos, entire gamut, let me say this: two wheelers, PVs, commercial, agri equipments, and tractors. We've been positive on all of those. Though yesterday there were certain reports. One of the reports said that they have a sell recommendation on Maruti and Tata Motors, but we are in the opposition. Well, we still believe that there is strength if you are a longish term time horizon. Then you come to your cement. Again, over here, Shell, like IT, mid-cap cement has done phenomenally well. You are familiar with one name that I was positive on, Dalmia Bharat. We still remain positive, Shell. JK Lakshmi Cement, Ramco Cement. You have names like Shree Cement, Ultratech, ACC, Ambuja, Grasim, if you will. And in the metals, well, starting with JSPL, JSW Steel, Hindalco, Vedanta. I think these are the names that we would be. So it's a whole, I think it's a nice portfolio of 35, 40 odd companies that we've just spoken about.
Okay, understood that. Let's also get in my colleague Akansha Chaturvedi here. She has, some brokerage house reports that she'd like to share, and we'll come back to Gaurang on all of those as well. Akansha, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a good start to the day. Let's just dive into the brokerage house reports. To start with, I'll begin with LTI Mindtree. This is something, as Gaurang just mentioned, that the company did declare disappointing results, and this is also reflecting in the way brokerage houses are looking at it. Dollar Capital has seen a 15% downside in it based on the disappointing numbers. So has Motilal Oswal. They say that it's going to show a 8% downside. IDBI Capital sees a 3% downside, Kotak sees a 4% downside, and JM Financial sees a 7% downside. Moving ahead, I would want to talk about Rallis India. Rallis India is also something that brokerage houses are seeing a negative uh, outlook in this share. Dollar Capital sees a 15% downside in this. Antique sees a 16% downside, whereas Kotak says that we have to reduce the holding. I want to talk about new age digital companies as well. JM Financial has released this report where it has taken a deep look at all the new age digital companies which were listed somewhere in 2021, 2022, and these are its findings on it. It says that Zomato might have an upside of 28.5%, so it's giving it a buy rating. Nykaa has also got a buy rating, and the upside is at around 46.9%. Ease My Trip, they've given it a hold rating, and the upside is of 25.2%. PB Fintech, which is Policy Bazaar, as we know, they have given it a buy rating, and the upside is of around 28.4%. Delivery has also got a hold rating, but the downside is of 7.3%. India Mart has got a buy rating at an upside of 9.1%, and Car Trade has got a buy rating at an upside of 37.3%. Back to you,
Right.
Sakshi.
Right, Akansha. Thanks. Gaurang, anything from the new age technology pack that excites you at this point in time ahead of the earnings season? Are you positive on any of them?
Well, Zomato, to be very honest, Shakshi, Zomato is the only one that we've been positive. And in fact, during the IPO, we had come out with an IPO note, given a subscribe. I think the stock went to about 150 levels. Then we saw a sharp decline, not only in Zomato, but most of your new age technology stocks, the unicorns as we call it. So that's the only stock that as of now we are positive. But it's very close to our target price. So if you have invested at lower levels, you can continue to hold on.
Gaurang, this is the right time to dip into the earnings of IndusInd Bank. They came up with fantastic numbers, everything looking good. You have Q1 PAT rising 32%, net interest income up 18%. Would you have a granular feel on IndusInd Bank? What would you do at these levels?
Well, honestly, Shell, I still believe, and as I said, the if you just go by the pre Q1 numbers commentary in terms of deposit and advances, including CASA ratio, all the banks, whoever has spoken about it, have given a very strong commentary. If you look at the gross and net NPA numbers, they have been coming down over the last many quarters. And because of that, you've seen provisioning coming down. Loan book growth has been very strong, and we still believe that there is going to be tremendous amount of credit demand, loan demand to come forward in the futures to come by. So I think if you hold on, if you are having it, hold on to it. If you don't have it, these are the times you can start nibbling in purely on the numbers. Well, we are extremely satisfied and pleased with the numbers that IndusInd Bank delivered.
Okay. Gaurang, what about L&T Technology Services? Even that company came out with the earnings, recorded a 13% year-on-year growth in profits at 311 crore rupees, and the revenue from operations grew by 15 odd percent to about 2,300 crore rupees for the quarter. However, there was a dip on a sequential basis right there. We've also had Citi, giving a sell rating after the earnings right there and giving a target price of 3060 on the revenue miss they've been talking about. What did you read into the earnings here, and what would you recommend?
Well, so Shakshi, L&T Technologies is the one we had a positive coverage. Our targets were in place. So now we have, I think, reduced recommendation. We also believe that there is a little bit of headwind for the company. Unless and until that is resolved, I think we should just wait out. But like I mentioned, in terms of mid-cap IT, there are plenty of names to look at. LTI Mindtree is one of them. Persistence, Cyient, Coforge, KPIT Tech, Tata LXI. I think you could possibly label into these names. On fallback of numbers, you could see a little bit of softish downwards move on L&T Tech.
Uh, let's shift the base, Gaurang, to now what is the heaviest weighted counter on the Nifty, and that's HDFC Bank. Everything is now out of the way, which is the merger overhang, and we have a huge runway in front of us, given the earnings that we've seen and how the ADR is performing. What is your gut feel on HDFC Bank when it comes to maybe a medium to longer term view? Let's look 6 months to 2 years.
Shell, I think with the merged entity balance sheet is going to be fourth or fifth largest in the world. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that will open up plenty of opportunities for the bank to perform. And just go by the history of both HDFC Limited and HDFC Bank for long-term investors, the kind of wealth that it has created. From a single entity to at least four or five listed entities now, including your HDFC, AMC, HDFC Life. And I think if they going forward, if they plan to demerge certain businesses and list them as a separate entity, that will unlock value for investors as well. So overall, I think it's a great company. With the merger, the balance sheet has become much, 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 much stronger. And I think the business opportunity is just there for them to take it. So, just hold on to it. And these are, Shell, these are the kind of stocks, we call it generation stocks. You can just pass on to the next generation and it will keep on creating wealth.
All right, Gaurang, then let's shift focus. We will just have the pre-opening rates any moment now. But Shell, I also wanted to discuss with you, especially on the IT pack that we have been keeping our focus on consistently. Will the IT rally continue despite the kind of earnings that we've been getting here, or are they looking like a little toppish? All right. Let's get, I think there is some kind of a technical glitch. Shell, can you hear me?
Yes, actually, let's wait for the pre-open to start. Uh, we've seen a fantastic queue coming in from overseas markets. Dow really at the highest level in 16 months. And like we had mentioned in the early part of our conversation, it's going to be a neutral to quiet day. Any dip on the Nifty towards 19,750, 19,700, and hopefully 19,650 should be purchased. But that's the move forward. Gaurang has really mentioned a lot of counters that are doing well. The pre-open rates are in front of us, and Sakshi, Nifty up 170 points at 19,905. We'll definitely ignore this price, and let's look at individual ones. Okay, the 3-4 heaviest.
All right, so let's look at the current levels from the pre-open trade on the Nifty 19,883, currently 121 points higher, about 0.6% of gains coming in as far as the pre-open levels are concerned. 0.3% of a decline on the Sensex, 66,767. There's a lot of volatility right here. We will wait for the levels to settle down. But definitely let's look at Reliance Industries, for example. Let's look at stocks like Infosys, for example. Remember, Reliance Industries and Infosys really contributed, in terms of weightage and in terms of points as well to the Nifty gains yesterday. In fact, Infosys, when we talk about, that was the top contributor to the Nifty 50 yesterday. It's edged, it's again up about 1.6% higher at 1499 rupees currently. Remember, the stock crossed 1503 levels to turn positive on a year-to-date basis. 2849 coming in on Reliance Industries, 1% higher, inching towards those all-time high levels of 2855. So keep that level in mind. That may happen soon as the markets open as well. So that counter also has to be in focus. Let's look at HDFC Bank as well. Shell was mentioning it just before we were discussing the pre-opening rates. HDFC Bank, of course, 0.5% gains coming in, 1686. So these are the heavyweight counters that you need to keep an eye out on. Let's also look at TCS, for example, from the IT pack and see if there are any kind of supports coming in on that stock as well. A flat to a muted kind of a start in the pre-opening trade, 3496 currently for TCS right now as well. So keep an eye out on these stocks as well. Gaurang, anything in the pre-opening trade that catches your eye? All right, Gaurang, are you on mute by any chance? All right, we'll just get back and we'll just fix that audio in a bit, but let's look at these stocks constantly and just see if there are any moves. Let's look at the Nifty 50 and the stocks right there and the stocks that are moving in the pre-opening trade. Let's look at HDFC Bank, let's look at Reliance Industries again, Infosys, TCS. These are the stocks that one should watch out for. And the stocks are 1678 currently, flat to positive bias for the HDFC Bank counter as well. Let's also look at some of the other counters, including Apollo Hospitals, for example. That stock should be in focus today. From the auto pack, let's also look at Maruti Suzuki, M&M, these kind of counters as well. Apollo Hospitals slightly softish, about 0.3% down in trade. Maruti Suzuki about 0.24% down in trade. So it's a mixed kind of trade looking like right here. But let's look at the Sensex and the Nifty. It's looking like it is stabilizing right now. 66,769 currently, down about 20 odd levels for the Sensex. The Nifty also hovering around 19,803 as well. But let's look at some of the other stocks that will be in focus. Let's look at ICICI Lombard, for example. Remember, yesterday we did see the earnings come about. We've also seen the brokerage houses reports coming in on the stock. There was a 1350 kind of a level yesterday, and it's not too much reacted on the pre-opening session. It's just about flat with 0.1% loss right now. The CLSA had actually given a maintain buy rating on the stock with a target price of 1550. Morgan Stanley giving an overweight rating on ICICI Prudential as well. Let's look at that stock too. That stock also came out with its earnings. Morgan Stanley has maintained an overweight rating with a 685 rupees kind of a target for that one as well. And Nomura has come out with a rating of buy with a target price of 670 on ICICI Pru. So let's look at this stock as well. 573 currently, down about 0.1% on ICICI Prudential. Akansha joins right in. Akansha, any of the action in the bulk deal and block deal space that one should watch out for in the opening session today?
Yes, we need to keep a close eye on Rallis India. Rallis India, around 1.6 crores shares have been sold by Rekha Jhunjhunwala. This was done in a bulk deal. And on the flip side, the company's promoters, Tata Chemicals, also picked up some shares. So this is a stock that's going to be in focus today. Apart from that, Rama Steel Tubes is also a stock that's going to be in focus today because Society General bought around 6 lakh shares of, 60 lakh shares of this company. Then we have Sport King India. Anil Kumar Goyal has bought around 1,31,000 shares of this company. And then we have Eric Life Sciences. HDFC Mutual Fund has bought around 8,29,000 shares of this company. And on the flip side, Rakesh Shah has sold around 9 lakh shares of this company. So all these 4 companies that we just spoke of, Rallis India, Rama Steel Tube, Sport King, and Eric Life Sciences, these companies are going to be in focus in trade today.
All right, Shell joins us now. Shell, anything in the pre-opening action that you've spotted?
Yes, actually, it's a crisis of plenty. The Nifty is settling around 50 points higher at about 19,800. So all our hopes of seeing 19,750, 700, 650 seem to be fading. Now let's look at individual prices. IndusInd Bank, fantastic numbers. A thumbs up from Gaurang. It's up 4% at 1445. This is the top gainer on the Nifty. As always, Infosys uh, ahead of its earnings tomorrow. It's up a percent at 1488. We have Tata Consumer up 0.7%, 864. We have a strong opening coming in from ICICI Bank, half a percent higher at about 980. I want to see what Reliance is doing. In the green, 2828. Remember, record high for this heaviest weighted stock on the index, as also India's most valuable company, 0.3% higher. Let's look at what HDFC Bank is likely to do. At the moment, HDFC Bank is trading in the green. It's also active on the long side, and of course, SBI. So these are the numbers that I'm looking at least in the Nifty 50 space. Let's look at FNO. At the moment, when you look at FNO, the top traded counterpart from IndusInd Bank looks like Havells and NTPC. NTPC 2% higher, 191. Havells, as I had mentioned, a strong earnings by its rival Polycab. Polycab was up 6% yesterday. Havells is now up 1.5%, 1354. Polycab at about half a percent, 1% higher at 4188. Sakshi.
Yeah. Federal Bank, let's look at that stock also from the Bank Nifty group in the FNO space, about 2% higher on Federal Bank, and there's news flow as well. IFC is going to be investing in about 958 crore rupees into the bank via preferential allotment, and that's supposed to happen on 21st, and that's why you're seeing some move on Federal Bank right now, 136 and about 0.8, 0.9% higher in trade. Gaurang joins us again. Gaurang, anything in the pre-opening action that attracts you? Especially we've been talking about stocks like IndusInd Bank that you've already spoken about, ICICI Bank, Federal Bank, all of them up in trade?
Well, so Federal Bank is one, and I think the reason why I say this because they have just sometime back they announced they are going to raise funds.
Yeah.
And in terms of earnings, also the bank has shown tremendous amount of improvement over the last 4 or 5 quarters. Traditionally a south-based bank, but has kind of branched out quite nicely pan-India. And the commentary from the management was extremely, extremely strong in terms of the growth. So, and it has been in news also, rather than anything else. So I think Federal Bank could be one if you have a little bit of longish time horizon.
Okay. Another stock, Shell, is Titagarh Rail Systems. And Gaurang, even I'd like you to keep focus on that. There's again a report by HSBC on this with a target price of 730. And the kind of, they've initiated a buy rating. They are focusing on India's plans to put more freight on the rails, provide compelling opportunity for Titagarh wagons. That's what they say. Anything from the railway pack that, attracts you at this point, Gaurang?
Well, so IRFC was the one where we had come out with the IPO note. IRCTC again, similar case. But let me say this, Sakshi, that the plans that the Indian Railways have for the next 5 to 10 years as to where they want to take the Indian Railways in terms of improvement in infrastructure, modernization of railway stations, high speed to semi speed trains, and along with that, dedicated freight corridors. So, if I have to sum up all these things, then there has been constant effort from the Indian Railways to upgrade the coaches as well. So, my sense is that all those companies which are associated with Indian Railways and who are a part of all these initiatives that the railway have taken under their rollout or ground level kind of action would definitely continue to contribute to a great extent.
Gaurang, you had mentioned amongst the sectors that you're looking at positively was defense. Year-to-date performance of many of these stocks, Masdog, Hindustan Aeronautics, uh, Grasim Shipyard, whether it's Cochin Shipyard, has been fantastic. The sector's almost doubled, and stocks, some of them tripled and more. What would be the top one or two picks that you would remain bullish on despite the rally that we've seen in this space?
So I think, well, again, let me give a blanket disclosure, Shell. Hindustan Aeronautics, Bharat Dynamics, Mazgaon Docks, Cochin Shipyard, all these were IPO recommendation. And you know very well what was the price when the
Yes.
IPO came out
Yes.
and hit the street and what the valuation is now. And it's purely because of the orders that they have got, not only from the uh, Indian Air Force, Indian Army, Indian Navy, Border Security Force, but across the border. I was reading one report yesterday, Shell, that Australia is very keen to look at Tejas Mark II, which is going to be a replacement of Su-30 in the Indian Air Forces. And
Mhm.
and along with that, of course, they have a lot of other plans also. So, and light combat helicopter called Prachand has done fantastically well, though there were certain issues, but has been resolved. So, all these names. So, if I have to name one or two names from the defense universe, well, one name would be Cochin Shipyard, Shell, though it has also, piggybacked on Mazgaon Docks rally. But that's one name, and BEL would be the other one that I would be keenly watching.
Okay.
Okay.
So these
All
are the
right.
two.
All right, you're speaking out of turn. All right, Gaurang, I'll ask you on Tata Motors again. Why, you did talk about that while there are some brokerage house reports that are giving a sell rating and a downward rating, now you're still bullish on the stock. There's a news update now. Tata Motors owned Jaguar Land Rover is set to announce plans to build a flagship electric battery plant in the UK. And we've seen a stunning rally on this stock. I mean, on a one-year basis, 36% higher. Year-to-date basis, 55% higher. It's trading at 614 right now. Even at these levels, is it still a buy?
Well, there is a good old saying, Sakshi, that beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So it's all depends upon how you look at the stock and what is your interpretation of valuation. Well, if you ask me, and I'll be very honest, again, Shell is witness to that. I think at 380 and sub 380, this stock was an
Yes,
untouched.
absolutely.
Let me be very honest. Nobody wanted to touch Tata Motors because of the legacy issues. Today, it has become the darling of the market. See the how tides change. So when we stood with Tata Motors in the worst of the times, I think when the going is smooth, we definitely want to be an equal partner with Tata Motors. We would recommend, and my sense is that your Jaguars would do well over a period of time with the recoveries in the global economies, especially UK, China. But I'm more excited about the new launches. The Curve is going to be launched. I think they are under test. Uh, all three avatars are going to come back in terms of Harrier, Safari, and the Nexon. You are talking about Punch coming out with the CNG
Yeah.
model, etc., etc. So there are lots that is happening. And one more thing, we normally only talk about this SUVs and passenger vehicles. I think commercial vehicle segment of Tata Motors is doing extremely, extremely well. And over there also, they have done some significant launches in terms of heavy tonnage commercial vehicles. So we definitely are positive on Tata Motors.
Right. Gaurang, another stock that I wanted to discuss is Himadri Specialty Chemicals with you. Remember, the company has registered a massive 123% year-on-year growth in the consolidated profit. And, in the specialty chemical space, is Himadri something that investors should continue to watch out for?
Well, unfortunately, because of regulation, Sakshi, we can't speak about companies that we don't have a coverage of.
Okay.
But yeah, specialty and agrochemicals sector, we have almost about 6 or 7 companies. I'll start with Bharti Industries, Tata Chemicals, PI Industries, UPL, Pidilite, Vinati Organics. These are some of the names that we are extremely, extremely positive. And there is a feeling that with China opening, Indian specialty agrochemical sector could face a little bit of hurdle in terms of global supplies. But I'm of a different opinion. I think post-pandemic, the world has learned that
Right.
it's very important to have diversified suppliers and spots rather than look at only
Okay.
one company.
Gaurang, the markets beckon. It's a strong opening. 19,800 is back on the Nifty with the bulls. It's a gap up of 50 points. That's about 19,805 that we are seeing on the Nifty. About 165 points higher on the Bank Nifty, 45,575. Let's look at the top performers amongst index heavyweights. Infosys off the block a day before its earnings, 1% higher, 1491. Let's look at Reliance, up 0.3%, 2829. HDFC Bank 0.2% higher at 1680. Remember, these are the heaviest index weighted stocks. Let's look at ICICI Bank, flat at 976. SBI up 0.2 at 593. And of course, you have TCS and ITC all in the green. This is what the Nifty is doing. Now let's look at FNO stocks. I'm very keen to look at what IndusInd Bank is doing. Right off the block, up 3.5%. The top gainer on the FNO space, 1439, fantastic earnings. The rally continues in Polycap, 3% higher, 42.48. Very, very strong opening happening on the markets. Bajaj Finance, Infosys, Sun Pharma, all in the green and all at day's high. Polycab, it's running away. Fantastic earnings, 6% higher yesterday and is now 3.5% higher. Havels, following Polycab's full steps, and you have a very, very strong traction coming in on Infosys as well. IndusInd Bank Sakshi, 3.8% higher. Let's look at the winners on the FNO space and beyond that in the broader market. CIE Industries, this is one thing that we missed. Very, very strong earnings profit nearly rises 70%. Fresh record high automotive space, 577 at the top gainer in, of course, the NSE 500. Let's look at broader markets. Advanced decline ratios favoring bulls at the moment. And in terms of NSE 500, it's at about 1:2. So rally in the index heavyweights, but the broader markets seem to be coming under some sort of selling pressure, at least in the beginning. Sakshi, what have you seen? Nifty now gaining strength, 68 points higher, 19,817.
Absolutely, Shell. Record highs for the Sensex and the Nifty yet again. So the record run continues. L&T Technology Services, we were talking about 2% higher in trade. Himadri Specialty Chemicals, just before the markets open, we discussed 2.3% higher in trade. CIE Automotives at about 507 odd levels. We're looking at the Nifty Midcap 100 Index at 0.2% higher. Apart from the Nifty Bank is the one that you were talking about, Shell, before the markets open. That's leading index, about half or 0.4% higher in trade. So you're looking at the Nifty Bank and all the constituents supporting the Nifty Bank as well, financial services, private banks, even the PSU banks. You mentioned IndusInd Bank, but apart from that, we were also looking at Federal Bank, that's up in trade. The IT stocks, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, all up by 0.8% odd in today's trading session. Delta Corp and Nazara Tech, let's look at the recovery continues, and these stocks are also coming back in action. From the pharma pack, you're looking at Divis Laboratories, that's again up. Apollo Hospitals, that's in action again in today's trading action as well. Anything else, Shah?
Yes, Sakshi. The sea of green is now extending. Let's look at the broader financial markets. I have Muthoot Finance, which is the top gainer. This is a space that Gaurang has repeatedly said he likes.
Yeah.
The energy space is looking good. Ashok Leyland is one stock I wanted to discuss, record high. It's the top gainer in the auto space. Infosys, runaway move. It's about 920, and we already have a fresh 2.1% open interest addition, 1% rise on the price. So that's really good. Apart from that, Polycab and Havels continue to tango on the green side, and both of them are doing some fantastic gains. Gorang had mentioned the power space.
Yeah.
NTPC 2.2% higher. Let's get him back into the conversation. Gorang, what looks good to you? We've had a very, very strong start. Nifty managing to hold on to 19,800. What looks good to you?
Well, Shell, I think I will continue to maintain my stance on banking and NBFCs. And my sense is that, even if you want to, do a trade on fallback of the earnings that are going to unfold, I think it's going to be a great opportunity. Uh, there were issues in terms of the run up that we had seen in the Bank Nifty. And remember one thing, I think Bank Nifty was the first ones to scale to all time highs, lifetime highs. And on fallback of numbers, my sense is that this is going to be another time when you will see Bank Nifty or Nifty Bank outperforming. So I think look at banks. I would purely say that. One more name that I could possibly highlight, again, a small or a medium-sized bank based out of South is City Union Bank. This bank was pulled up because of certain regulations shortcomings by the RBI, and we saw a sharp correction come through. But then the bank has kind of, the share, the stock price, they have stabilized, and the bank's management have taken appropriate steps to address the issue. At around about 130 or so, I think it's also a great opportunity to look at City Union Bank.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Got
Sakshi,
it.
we just run through stocks that are now running away.
Yeah.
Gorang, ABB, one of your all-time favorites, record high 45.72. Uh, all your PSU banks are running away. Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank, Canfin Homes was one of your favorites, 809.60. Something really we just both of us overlooked. Pharma. You never spoke anything about it, and it missed my radar as well. Uh, Anything that catches your fancy with IT and pharma? These are two sectors which have lagged. And remember, they were market darlings, they were FII darlings, HNI darlings. Uh, they're just sulking. Anything that you like in pharma?
So let me put a broader picture in front of you, Shail. I'll cover pharma, I'll cover diagnosis, and I'll cover healthcare, that is hospitals, for the
Okay.
benefit of your viewers.
Okay.
So in pharma, I will restrict myself. Of course, the list is long, but in pharma, I'll restrict myself to three or four names: Sun Pharma, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, and Divi's Laboratories. So these are your pharma plays. In the diagnosis, Dr. Lal Path Labs is what we are positive on. In the healthcare, starting with Apollo Hospital and then going on to Narayan Rudalaya, again a name which not many people speak about,
Yeah.
and Fortis Healthcare. These are the names in the entire pharma, diagnosis, and healthcare that we remain positive. But let me say this, Shell. I think for pharma sector to bring back its old glory that we saw post the vaccines coming out and the contribution by pharma in terms of vaccines, etc. That those times are going to be a little bit difficult to see, at least in the near future.
Okay. Gaurang, what about the IT pack? Shell was also mentioning this. Wipro, Infosys, Tech Mahindra, all of these stocks are up. TCS and HCL Tech are nearing their 52-week high levels as well. Has this rally of the last 4-5 odd sessions surprised you, despite the kind of muted trend? Or do you believe that this is now the worst is priced in and this sector is only going to go up?
I don't think so, Sakshi. I think it's going to be a while. And when I was referring to IT sector, I did mention that it's going to be about 3 to 6 months of pain that you'll see in the IT sector. But surprises, surprises. On Monday, I think IT index was the one which made a new all-time high. So what I'm trying to say, Sakshi, is that this is the sector that you have to look at 1.5 year plus time horizon, given the headwinds that it has to face in the immediate short to medium term. But to write off the IT sector in terms of performance, I think that will not be a smart or a wise thing to do. Uh, my sense is that time-wise, price-wise correction has given opportunities for long-term investors to start nibbling in. I'm not saying that you go all out and put all your money at one time, invest all your money at one time. But at least what you could do is deploy 25-30% and on dips go on adding it.
Okay, let's look at stocks where the market action is concentrated. The PCR will show you daily charts as well as long-term charts. And I'm talking about stocks which are now at record highs. We'll start with Ashok Leyland, 174.15 up 0.4%. Even before markets started today, Ashok Leyland was showing fantastic short covering in yesterday's trade. Open interest positions are fairly high on this one, and at 174.10, this is as a record high. Apart from that, ABB 45.64, 1.6% higher. About 52,000 shares have already been traded on this counter, and this is at a record level that we are seeing. Polycab we've mentioned several times. After yesterday's 6% rally, another 4% uptick, record high 42.91, and of course we have now HDFC Bank kicking in. It's at the day's highest level, 1688, up 0.3%, 0.6%, and that's also pushing the Bank Nifty higher, 45,600, 193 points higher. The Sensex is also showing fantastic gains as of now, and it's the Nifty 50. It's building on to its earlier 50-point uptick, now 64 points higher at 19,811. Gorang, your first thoughts on the infrastructure space. Of course, following ABB is Siemens, uh, heading for a record high 37.21. Would you try to pick up some mid-cap infra plays for our viewers?
Well, so I'll again put this into two perspectives, two parts. So cap goods engineering, well, ABB, Siemens, L&T, uh, mid-cap names like KC International Shell has been performing extremely well. So we maintain a positive stance over there. On the infra side, well, again, you have names like infrastructure creation, if you will, expressways, roadways, highways, etc. So you have names like NCC Limited, KEC International, PNC Infra. We are extremely positive about that. And I think about a month back, Shell, correct me if I'm wrong, government mentioned about Gati Shakti and putting the infrastructure projects on a fast track. And of
Yes.
course, with the elections that are lined up, I think there will be tremendous amount of momentum in the cap goods engineering as well as infrastructure creation space. So these are the names that you should look for.
Okay. Gaurang, Reliance Industries, let's quickly discuss that before you need to go. But before that, Reliance Industries is a stock that you must definitely talk to us about, especially because tomorrow the demerged entity will also get included in the index. If you could help our viewers really understand what does this really mean for the RIL shareholders? How will the pre-opening action, impact the shareholders really?
So book value is about 200 rupees. Sakshi, correct me if I'm wrong, for Geo Financials. Today is the last day for all those investors who want to be a part of that. And we always believed, Sakshi, that whether you hive off a business and list it as a separate entity, or whether you have a consolidated balance sheet, Reliance Industries will always create value. Now, this is the first of the lot. The market has been a buzz, or rumors have been around in the market about hiving of geo mobility as well, digital and retail business slowly, steadily. So, it was, it is, and it will create value, whether it is a single entity or different entities. So choice is yours, but we've been always positive. Our targets are close to 3,000. This was depending on the last quarter numbers that we saw. And I think that time the stock was languishing around 23, 2350. And now it has, rallied on fallback of this news. So whether one or one too many, it will create value.
So let's just break this for our viewers into a sensible kind of uh, a setup. So a couple of things have happened over the last 1 week or so. We've seen a very sharp rally on Reliance Industries, which is India's most valuable company. It's added about 10% since the past 4 or 5 sessions, and that's because of a major corporate development that is due tomorrow. The financial services arm of the Reliance Group, Geo Financials, will be spun out of Reliance Industries on Thursday, and the record date to determine who all is eligible to get these shares is July 20th, which is again tomorrow. Remember, we are also looking at Reliance's earnings on Friday. So the breakup will be in the ratio of 1:1, and a price discovery will happen tomorrow in a special session. Now, what is likely to happen is that the close of Reliance on Wednesday, which is today, and the open of Reliance on Thursday, which is tomorrow morning, the difference will determine the price of Geo Financials. And that will be listed for a couple of days on the Nifty and other indices. And after that, it will follow a T+3 settlement cycle. So that's how the price discovery is going to happen. And that's the reason why we've seen a very sharp rally in Reliance over the last 5 or 7 trading sessions. In fact, it's the world's 42nd most valuable company, and it's closed yesterday at a record high. It's added to gains today, and that's the traction that is coming in. It's the only company in India which is more than $200 billion in terms of market capitalization. In fact, somewhere like $233 billion. Now let's get Gaurang back into the conversation and try to find out what are his views on uh, Reliance Industries and Geo Financials. At the same time, we'll also welcome another dear friend, Mr. Rajesh Palvia, who has a very strong command on technical charts, and he will give you a view on Reliance Industries after Gaurang has spoken fundamentally on the stock. Gaurang, over to you.
So I think, like I mentioned, Shell, 200 rupees is the book value. That is what I was given to understand yesterday. Price discovery will happen. And then, of course, the brief period of listed entity coming through. I have just put a rough number, and that would be in terms of the listing price for Geo Financials could be anywhere between 160 to 180 or 185, and that it'll then post it'll depend upon the supply and demand scenario. But in terms of the opportunities for Geo Financials, I think it's going to be huge. And let me say this, that already Reliance Industries has got a very well established, strong network to reach out to people. And I think that advantage will definitely be taken by Geo Financials in terms of the products and services.
Recording in progress.
So it will depend upon uh, what the products and services are. I think they would want to be in each and every segment and aspect of financial inclusion. Uh, my sense is that it will definitely be something to look forward to.
Hmm.
Okay. Gaurang, one more question. Of course, uh, The demerged entity, the share allocation will be in the ratio of 1:1 for existing shareholders. But what about those people who haven't have Reliance in their portfolio today? Two questions. One, would you recommend buying into Geo Financials initially, or would you wait for their earnings and all to come out? And second, even at record high levels, would you recommend a buy on Reliance Industries, fundamentally based on their business prospects?
Well, so we mentioned, 3,000 is the level that we have in mind. This was based on the last quarter, last financial year. I'm sure the numbers are going to be looking very, very interesting. Uh, Today, also, you have an opportunity in case if you don't have Reliance Industries. Not only because of Geo Financial Shell, I think if I have to put the entire business into perspective, sum of parts, if you will, then I think it's a great opportunity. And this is one stock which is there in each and every fund manager's portfolio.
Wonderful. Gaurang, what a pleasure to have you on our first session. And I'm sure this is the beginning of many more interactions that we'll have online. And thank you so much for your valuable time and wonderful views that you held. Next time I'm in Bombay, the cup of tea is on you.
We
We'll
will.
catch up on wonderful stock picks that you have. Wonderful. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Shell. Thank you, Shakti. See you. Bye bye.
Thank you. All
Uh,
right.
At the same time, we welcome Mr. Rajesh Palvia. He's the head for technical resources in Access Securities. A wonderful person with a very deep command on both technicals as well as charts. And not many people know his command over technicals is matched with his command over songs. So, Sargam and technicals both find favor with Mr. Palvia. Rajesh ji, welcome to Business Today Television.
Good morning, Shelji. Good morning, Sakshi, and good morning, everyone. Thank you, Shelji, for having me on this show. Thanks for my introduction, and it's again good to see you and interact with you on BTTV. So, thank you very much for having me on this show.
Okay, we won't spare you any quarter, Rajesh bhai. First off, Reliance Industries. What do you think?
So very strong setup for Reliance, and now stock is almost near to its all-time high trajectory. We are just 1% away from its all-time high trajectory. Very strong addition in terms of position we have witnessed since last couple of weeks. So it's a fourth consecutive week where stock is forming higher high-low formation, which clearly indicates that there is a sustained buying action is happening in the stock prices.
Yeah.
To get the long built up in today's session also, we expect that this rally can extend further higher, as again today is the last date for corporate uh, uh, adjustment that is going to happen in the today's stocks prices for Geo Financial. So I think another round of buying interest could be there in the today's session also, and possibly Reliance can scale up to the level of 28.90 to 29.20 in the continuation of this uptrend. So our advice is to hold the position, keep trailing your stop losses. Again, for long term, short term, medium term perspective, also you can hold this stock. And for trading, yes, your stop losses now should be at around 27.75 and hold your position for upside target of 29.20 in the continuation of this uptrend.
Okay, and would you also advise investors to buy ahead of the Geo Financials demerger? And even at this price, does it look attractive? And what are the targets that you're looking at?
Yeah, surely one can buy at the current price also. Target is 28.90 to 29.20 ahead of
Okay.
this demerger, this announcement. And we expect that this rally can extend in today's session itself.
Okay. Two more stocks that are coming on my radar right now. I'll discuss those with you. Sudden momentum coming in. KEI Industries, that's a stock that I wanted to discuss with you, Rajesh. And that's also because last two odd trading sessions, again, we've seen a remarkable move of about 9, 10 odd percent on the stock. Even today, it's up by about 3 odd percent. Anything that's moving for the counter right now that investors should keep on their radar?
Very strong chart structure for KEI industry. Stock is in bullish territory across all time frames. Series of higher top, higher bottom formation on daily, weekly, monthly time frame, which clearly shows that buyers are very much intact in the KEI. And looking at the near term, short term setup, stock is moving in up sloping channel on the weekly chart. We expect that this stock can scale up further higher from the current level also, and possibly 2650, 2700 could be the possible target in the near term to short term basis.
Hmm.
So those who are already bought the stock, they can hold their position even at the minor dip. You can add the stock towards 2520, 2500 level. Keep your stop losses at around 25, 2475, and target is 2650 to 2700 in the near term basis.
Okay. Shell's back with us. Shell, anything else then in the interim that caught your eye?
Yes, Sakshi. The broader markets are doing pretty well. Let's utilize Mr. Palvia's talents on stock picking and keep on bothering him with ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Enough of stock spotting at our end. Now it's his turn to sort of face the heat. Rajesh ji, we have drawn in front of you a chart of IndusInd Bank. It's doing fantastic. Okay, so we are trying to get Rajesh back on the screen. But Sakshi, a couple of things have happened. IndusInd Bank at the moment 2.9% higher, and the open interest is 3.2% higher. So this is of course the run up that we are seeing post its fantastic earnings. Let me just point out other stocks that are up and running. It's a power packed day, Sakshi. The top three price gainers on FNO are NTPC, 3.8% higher, Havells, 3.1% higher, and of course, Polycab running up for the second day in a row. Let's see if Rajesh ji is back. Then we'll discuss IndusInd Bank with him. But for the moment, let's look at the charts of NTPC.
Yeah.
They're doing fantastically well, and it's a gap up that we've seen. Of course, the most recent high was 197.70. Very strong volumes coming in, Sakshi.
Hmm.
At the moment in the cash market, about 88 lakh shares, 89 lakh shares have been already transacted. The 5 day average is 96 lakhs, and we are not even 20 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
So that's really good on NTPC. It's a gap up, high open interest kind of an environment, and it's a sectoral play. So all these stocks are doing fantastically well. Rajesh ji, what would you want to take first, IndusInd Bank or NTPC?
So post-earning, IndusInd Bank has shown a gap up opening, but some profit taking is happening at higher level as stock is not managed to cross its immediate resistance area of 1460, 1470, which is very challenging level for IndusInd Bank on the higher side. Once the stock crosses above 1460, 70 level, then this rally can extend as overall banking and financial sector is in bullish territory. So we expect that, yes, sooner or later, yes, that breakout will come, but post earning some profit taking is happening, but
Yeah.
still view is bullish. Keep your stop loss at around 1380 to hold your long position in IndusInd. Again, as you mentioned about NTPC, yes, very strong set of data on the NTPC, and in today's session also we have witnessed a long built up kind of activity in the stock prices. So looking at near term, short term setup, yes, we are having bullish view on NTPC, and we are projecting target of 205 in the continuation of this uptrend. So hold your long position even at the current price. Also, you can buy NTPC. Keep your stop loss at 191 for upside target of 205.
Okay. Rajesh, from the pharma pack, how are you looking at Markson's Pharma? I do know that you would not have historical charts right there because the company is recently listed. But very, very strong move. In fact, the stock ended 6% higher today. Today, again, it's up by about 1.5% to 2%. We've seen the stock gaining 20% in the last 6 odd trading sessions. Your thoughts on Markson's Pharma?
Looking at the weekly as well as monthly setup, stock has given a breakout of its surrounding bottom formation on the monthly as well as on the weekly chart. And the kind of breakout we have witnessed, very strong price action we can expect in the near term basis also. As stock is very well holding above all its long-term moving averages, so we expect this rally can extend towards 125, 130 mark. So those who are already bought can hold their position. Keep your stop losses now at around 105 for upside target of 125 to 130.
Hmm.
Okay. Rajeshji, we've seen a very, very sharp rally in the mid cap space. In fact, both the mid cap and the small cap index are again at record highs. Share with us, your views on the banking sector in the PSU mid cap space. Anything that catches your fancy on the long term charts where, long term gains are unfolding. What would you prefer? Maybe a Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank. What looks good?
Definitely, Shalji. We have seen a very strong buying action in last couple of weeks for most of the PSU banks, be it large cap or mid cap. And looking at the overall rally in the banking space, we do expect yes, PSU bank can continue further more upside from the current level. So from mid cap space, yes, we do like Bank of Baroda, and the kind of breakout stock is enjoying since last couple of weeks. We expect that if stocks continuously hold above 190, 185 mark, then possibly on the positional basis, 220 to 225 could be the possible target in the near term basis. So we are holding our bullish view on the Bank of Baroda. Another stock that we like in the near term to short term basis, that is Punjab National Bank (PNB).
Hmm.
Stock is now forming a rounding bottom formation on the weekly chart, and now stock is approaching to give breakout of its multiple supply zone on the weekly as well as on the monthly chart. So we expect that once the stock manages to cross above 64 level, then PNB could be another stock where we can expect another round of rally towards 75 to 80 in the positional basis. So PNB is a stock where one can focus to buy and accumulate, keep your stop loss at around 56, and positional target we are projecting around 75 to 80.
Okay. Rajesh, another stock that's coming up right here is Engineers India. It's a 131 rupees stock for investors, half odd percent higher in trade today. But what's important to look at is what it has done in the last 5 trading sessions and over the last few months. So 5 days, 6.5% move. Last 1 month, it's a strong 15%, 16% up move. And last 6 months, it has rallied 56% odd. How do you look at this stock?
So in current month now stock has managed to view breakout of its multi-year breakout. So now stock is giving breakout of May 2019 swing high. So looking at the breakout on the monthly chart, yes, stock can exhibit further upside from the current level also, as stock is giving breakout on the longer term time frame. So we are projecting target of 160 on the positional basis. So Engineers India is looking very strong on the near term, short term, as well as on the long term structure also. So one can use any minor dip as a buying opportunity. Your stop losses should be around 118, and upside target is 160 for Engineers India.
Hmm. Okay. Shell, do you have anything else in mind that you'd like to discuss with Rajesh?
Yes, of course. There are so many stocks that demand Rajesh's attention in the markets today. And let's go through the trade finder route and look at the FNO data. Rajeshji, Voltas for you. We've had a terrible, terrible summer for Voltas for two reasons. Uh, Rains across North India. Therefore, not much of sales happened on the AC side. But one of the strongest tractions that I'm seeing on the charts today, 783.20. What is the chart telling you on Voltas?
So, there was underperformance in the Voltas. Yes, sales has taken a hit as again, rains has given a hit on their, sales number for AC. But looking at the near-term setup, some recovery is happening in the prices. On the weekly chart, if we see, stock is now penetrating to its down-sloping trend line on the weekly chart. Yes, on the near-term setup, stock is now trading about to 20-day moving average, so which is adding up some a bit of positivity on the daily setup. And stock managed to give breakout of its consolidation range of almost 10 to 15 days. So looking at the breakout on the near term, some short covering we can expect in the near term basis, and possibly stock can move further higher towards 800 to 810. So yes, one can buy for trading perspective, but for investment perspective, we will avoid. For trading perspective, one can buy for upside target of 110. Keep your stop loss now at around 768 to buy Voltas at the current price.
Okay. Another stock that demands your attention, Rajesh, right now is Bikaji Foods. Again, long-term charts would not be available for you. But, there's an announcement that Bikaji Foods has now acquired a 49% stake in Bhujia Lalji Private Limited. And we are yet to find out more details on it, the acquisition details of how much money have they furnished right now for this acquisition. But right now, the stock is up about 4% and has immediately reacted to this news. Bikaji Foods right here. Do you track this stock? Is there anything that investors should know?
So post listing, stock has shown some corrective action, but now again, stock is moving back to its all-time high trajectory. And looking at the data, which we have limited data, yes, stock may show further more upside. And looking at the near-term, short-term setup, we do expect that some rally can be there in the near-term basis. So upside target we can expect towards 470, 480 in the continuation of the trend which we are witnessing since last couple of weeks. Stock is moving in upsloping channel on the weekly chart also, and now stock is approaching towards its multiple supply zone of 445, 450 zone. So once we get the breakout above 450, there could be a possibility of upside target of 480 to 490. And so our recommendation is to buy a Bikaji at the current level also. And if you get any chance to buy around 430, is a good opportunity again based on the risk to reward basis. 425 is your stop loss. 480, 490 should be your target in the near term to short term basis.
Okay, Sakshi, I think we need to mention a lot of stocks that are surging very sharply in the F&O space. Again, slightly higher priced ticket, which is ABB. If we can show the intraday and the daily graph, 45.98. Rajesh, it's a potentially a breakout that's happening. Already the stock is at a record high, up 2.4%. What are the charts telling you? I see a strong open interest build up as well.
So surely ABB is continuously enjoying its all-time high trajectory. Whatever minor dips we are getting in the stocks are getting good buying interest in any minor dips. So looking at the overall setup for ABB, even on the capital goods space, we do expect that rally can extend further higher. So ABB is looking very promising. The kind of data addition is we expect ABB can scale up to the level of 4,700 from the current level. So one can buy ABB with stop loss of 45.50, and upside target for intraday basis is 46.25 to 46.40. But on a positional basis, we expect this rally can extend to 4,700, even beyond 4,700 also, because very strong setup across all time frame. And we expect this capital goods space as well as ABB can continue further more upside in the coming month also.
Okay. Rajesh, what about Sheela Foam? Of course, the stock has moved up quite sharply in the last two odd trading sessions with the news of Kurlon acquisition and foray into Furlenco. Is this stock something that you track?
So Sheela Foam, in a previous session, there was a strong volume action was there, and stock managed to give breakout about 200-day moving average also. But there is an absence of follow-up buying action. So we do believe, yes, there was breakout on the technical basis. 1230 should be your strict stop loss if you are holding your position on Sheela Foam at the current juncture. If it's continuously hold about 1230, then yes, we can expect upward momentum towards 1320, 1340. And if we get any breakout above 1340 on a weekly closing basis, then we can expect a good rally in the stock prices. But at this moment, 1230 should be your strict stop loss if you are buying Sheela foam at the current level, because post this news flow and post this volume action in the previous session, there is no follow-up buying action. So that is giving us some bit of cautious approach at the current level. But hold your position with strict stop loss of 1230.
Okay, Rajesh bhai, another question coming your way, and of course, this has been one of the favorite stocks of the market. It is ITC, because we've seen so much of a run up happening in Reliance, Infosys, HDFC Bank. Uh, Focus has shifted away from ITC. It's consolidating sideways over the last 7-8 trading sessions and is now in a very narrow band, 472. What are the longer term charts on ITC talking to you?
So a very strong setup for ITC on the long-term chart. Though stock is consolidating since last couple of trading session at a higher level, but looking at the breakout on the monthly, weekly time frame, we do expect post consolidation again. ITC will resume its uptrend, and possibly we can see a rally towards 540, 550 in the short-term basis. But on the long-term basis, we are projecting target of 600 for ITC. Again, Shelji, as we have seen that market has already rallied up quite significantly in last couple of months. So again, if market needs some consolidation, then again buying interest will move to the most of the FMCG stocks, and most of the FMCG stocks are showing buying interest in any minor dip which we are seeing in the last couple of weeks. So ITC is one of the favorite stock for, and we believe that one should hold ITC for bullish, having bullish view, and 540 is the near-term, short-term target for ITC, and keep your stop loss at 458 to hold your long position on the ITC.
All right. Many thanks then, Rajesh, for being with us on this opening show and discussing all these strategies for various stocks that we've discussed today. The markets continue to hold their ground at this point in time, about 80 points higher on the Nifty, 19,828, 67,070, about 275 points higher on the Sensex as well. The top gainers today, NTPC, Power Grid, so the powering stocks definitely over there on the top of the list. IndusInd Bank, Britannia and Infosys, the other top major movers on the Nifty index today. We'll continue to watch out for what's moving the markets throughout the trading session. Many thanks, Shell, for being with us as well on this edition. But for all the viewers, do stay tuned with us onto Business Today TV throughout the trading session to listen to more expert voices to find out what exactly should you be doing with your investments in equities. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Continue to engage with us on our other social media platforms as well, on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn and Instagram. And also, in case you have any questions that you'd like to direct to all our experts who come on our channel, you can mention them on the comment section below. Many thanks for tuning in. Until then.
Thank you for joining us on Business Today Television. I'm in conversation with the Finance Minister of South Africa. So thank you so much for joining us on this conversation at G20. Hope you're having a pleasant stay. What have been the key outcomes of the discussion so far?
I think the broad discussions around of partner interest to developing nations, debt restructuring are progressing very well. We've got, in terms of a common framework, we've done Zambia now, we're waiting for an MOU. We expect an appointment of another creditors team to look at Ghana, which is quite an important development for us. The second issue is the evolution of the Multinational Development Bank and the banks to structure them in such a manner that they can take the development challenges facing our nations in the 21st century.
Great. World Bank and also, of course, India's G20 presidency has been focusing a lot on debt restructuring. And that is likely also going to be included in today's agreement or consensus that comes. What is your view on that?
Look, as I indicated, debt restructuring impacts positively for developing nations, and therefore we would support any attempt to deal with that question.
Right. In terms of climate financing, have there been key discussions? Because that has to...
There have been key discussion on climate finance. Climate finance is but a key element on the development finance side. There's finance for poverty reductions and development and so on, and fragility, but there's also finance for climate finance.
Right. One last question. I'm going to set us aside from G20 and try and understand the relationship between South Africa and India. Further going, how do you see the trade expanding?
Look, the trade is expanding. I don't have the numbers now, but you must understand South Africa and India have got an interesting history and relationship, starting from Gandhi, because he spent a lot of time in South Africa in the struggle against apartheid and came back. And in fact, India was the first nation to push for in the United Nations for against apartheid. So our relations, both cultural, political, and economic, are sound.
Right. India's digital public infrastructure, which is also the UPI that they call the Unified Payment Interface, and also CBDC, which is the central bank's digital currency. Do you see South Africa collaborating with India on this in the future? Singapore, Indonesia?
Part of the discussion in the BRICS is that payment system. So South Africa will definitely be collaborating with India through that, but I think we've got to move beyond that, go at a bilateral level.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking with us.
Thank you very much.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.
CBDCs, there is a perceptible change in thinking. It's now recognized by large number of countries, both G20 members as well as countries which are not members, that CBDC is an important aspect which needs to be looked at more seriously. So in the as a part of the FMCG deliberations, it was recognized, the work done by the various agencies, the BIS, etc., were all taken on board. The experience sharing and the progress in collecting data, exchange of information, experience sharing, that was also noted. And specifically with regard to cross-border payments, it was also recognized that there is great potential for CBDC to facilitate easier, smoother, and seamless cross-border transactions and cross-border payments rather, and there is need to take this agenda forward. So it's a work in progress, and this process of experience sharing and collating what is happening across the world, where countries are either considering or countries which have already started pilot projects, this whole process of collating information, etc., by the BIS, that will continue.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.
I see smile on your face, which means quite a successful meeting. What have been the key highlights and outcome?
Well, there are many highlights. Certainly there has been an excellent organization on the part of the Indian presidency. The atmosphere was a bit more relaxed than the last time. We are worried about the global economy, but I think there are the basis to do as much as possible to avoid the great risks. Obviously, there is on our side, still a great risk that we see from the war in Europe in Ukraine. I think that the global economy is slowing down, and to recover needs that good policies are in place. We discussed the good policies in this meeting. In certain countries there is active monetary policy because inflation is still too high, but we are confident that we are close to conquer and to meet the targets. There have been a lot of discussion on financial issues, on crypto assets, on financial inclusion. Italy, the Bank of Italy, co-chairs with India the financial inclusion global partnership, and we are very glad that we achieved substantial progress in this.
Great. One last question before you leave, and this is, how do you see the world economy? What is your outlook on that?
Well, the world economy, as I said, is slowing down. We lost at least 1 percentage point with respect to the projections we had last year for this year, but also another for next year. And the reason is, I think, geopolitics. So really we have to do all what we can to reduce these risks.
Thank you very much. Gracias, and have a great stay. Gracias. Thank you very much.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.
Because of the technological revolutions, especially the breathtaking advances in artificial intelligence, and what we have is a massive potential reset in the existing global operating models, the future of work, the future of learning, the future of medicine, and in some ways, the future of economic growth itself will need to be reset. Therefore, as we end one financial year and begin another, it is important to take a step back and assess the global situation and India's position as part of this landscape. While economic cycles are getting increasingly hard to forecast, there is a little doubt that India, already world's 5th largest economy, will become the world's 3rd largest economy well before 2030, and thereafter the world's 2nd largest economy by 2050. It is well understood that for any economy to implement policy and lay the foundation of growth, a stable government is critical. And we have seen this impact with the implementation of several structural reforms that are critical for a strong, sustainable, and a balanced growth. This stability, coupled with India's demographic